Hello and welcome, you're here with me, Chatty Tumbler, and we're on day 2 of Red Flag 21.1 Mission 2. So yesterday we did some bombing, and today we're doing some SEED, some suppression of enemy air defences. As we look down the roll call, we are Colt 1 again, and we're in a flight of 4 F16s doing our mission. There's our weather, that's what the enemy are doing. There's our air threat, so J11s, AC30s, MiG-21s. This is the target area, so this is the integrated air defences, IADS, and these are two little HQ7s, so they are active up to 21,300 feet. So as long as we're at 22,000 feet over the HQ7s, they're not going to be a problem. But we do have an SA2 site, which is probably what we're going to have to destroy. So there's a north SA2 site and a south SA2 site. They are active to 98,000 feet, so we're not going over the top of those. But we are we're going to be able to outrange them. They can only fire up to 24 miles. We're going to be hitting them from much further away than that. So very much like day 1, taxi out at 10 past. We're going to take off at 15 past. The Marshal area is Waypoint 7, and because we are Colt 1, we want to be in there between 26 and 29,000 feet. So we'll probably be at the upper end because we're doing harm stuff. The higher the better with harm things. And we're the SEED guys in orange, so the SEED push is at 2135. So we're going to leave Waypoint 7 at 2135. Then this tells you all the game plans. The bombers, the fighters are going to do some clearing. Then we're in next. So we've got to come in. We're Colt 1, and we have got to engage the North SA2 with our HARM missile, AGM-88, and we can engage other active radar sites north of that. So we can take out the HQ7s as well. And then it looks like Colt 2, they are engaging the south sites. So we're responsible for these 3. And Colt 2 down here is responsible for these ones. But what we may do to show you how the harms work is I might actually fire a harm one way at this site and then a different way at this site, just to show you the 2 different systems. Then we've got the bombers that come in and going to blow the stuff up. And then we've got a comms plan. I'm going to try and use the radios properly today. So it's channel 4 on the ground, channel 16 in the air, and channel 4 when we come back again. There are tankers available, but we should need those. Let's jump in the cockpit and I'll see you in a second. So here we are on F16. Got the 2 big fuel tanks, HARM missiles, some air defense missiles on the sides there. Underneath, the big grey thing is the jamming pod, and the little tiny white pod in front of us is the HARM pod. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we also have a targeting pod, though we shouldn't really need the targeting pod. Let's jump inside. We'll do the startup. This will be the last day that I show the full startup because it does take a few minutes on the video, and future videos we'll just skip that out unless they do something anything unusual. Just going to wait for the RPMs to ramp up. Not going to bother changing the lighting for this on the startup. Once the RPM gets past 20, I'm going to uncage the throttle. Should be okay. As I mentioned before, the F16 can be a bit fickle. There will be times when it just won't start up if you touch anything. It's gone past 40, things are starting to do stuff now, so let's close the canopy. Oh, if I can clear that with my mouse. Nice and quiet. Okay, so radio's on. We've got the jamming pod on, so we'll set those up now, and otherwise we won't forget. Then working around the cockpit. Countermeasure system on. I'm going to put it on auto because I don't really mind that, and it also means that the jammer works much more efficiently. You can put it on semi-auto, but auto is fine for what we're doing today. We are going to put the parking brake on just in case anything weird happens. I'm going to master arm on the ground, which is bad habit. Arm the ejector seat. And let's get the navigation systems kicking in. So there's the countdown from 99 down to 10, and then we'll know we're ready at that point. Get rid of the joystick. So the thing that we have to do this time is, because we've got the HARM pod, we need to have the left and right hard points on, because I've got the targeting pod on this one and the HARM pod on that one, and I want to make sure that's got it. So that's doing that. We can sort out the artificial horizon, and we can put this into, it's currently on barometric pressure. Let's put on radar altimeter type thing, and as with yesterday, I like to have it at 0 on the runway. which is not always the right thing. So just it's a personal preference. I'm going to come into land.
4-2 Airborne.
Guys are already doing stuff. The time is not on here. We'll see that in a minute when it comes up though. We've still got a few minutes. We don't have to go until 1/4 I think is airborne time. So stuff's going to get in the way. We've got 2 drop tanks, so let's put that on, and that way we can see our fuel. Waypoint 7 we can set up. And we can align our helmet as well. So let's align the helmet while we wait for this to do its thing. So we can return out of that. We go to cruise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Double down, and we wanted 21:35. Enter. So we remind ourselves that that's the time we need to leave. There's no actual strike time in the briefing. We've now got flashing a line, so I can take that out of that. It basically, once we leave the waypoint, we can then engage the do our seed stuff. Other thing I did mention on day 1, I said that there was no knee pad. I did a system reboot thing, and there is a knee pad. Sorry, there was no information on the knee pad. Well, that was actually a lie. There is. So if you look on the kneeboard on off, that's right shifting K to bring it up, and then I use these pages, next page, and previous page to cycle through the pages. So I'm going to do that now. Now, when I did this before, there was nothing, just this stuff, and when I cycled through, there was nothing else. But if you actually cycle through, I'm using the kneeboard left. There we go. That's all of the briefing that we did. I did at the very beginning of the video is available in your knee pad. So if you can't remember anything, you can bring that up. And if you're not seeing all of this information, just do a system repair. And if you Google how to do DCS system repair, it fixes any kind of corrupt files or links and puts it back together again. So that's our knee pad. So there's a waypoint. We know we need to leave 7 at 21:35, and at 21:35 plus 40 seconds. So pretty much as soon as we can, we are to leave and engage that SA7 time. So that's all done. The clock is here, so it's 21:05. We've still got 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to align my helmet. So, and to do that, we go into list, miscellaneous, helmet mounted sight, double right, select, press and hold the magic button. It says OK, press select. So I'm moving this cursor at this point. So that goes on there. Press select again, and then it's this one is rolling left and right. So we'll put that in the middle as close as we can. And then we are good. There are some other fancy things you can do with the helmet, but for general use, you don't need to worry about that today. You can you can have very little information in here or a little bit more. And if you notice when I move my helmet around as well, if I look in the cockpit, you can't see the helmet display. Well, there is a setting in that menu as well that means that you could have the helmet display all the time. But I find that a bit confusing. We've still got 3 minutes to go. I think I'm happy with everything. I'm not using lasers. Not worrying about any of the lights. That's all good. Oxygen's on by default. Fuel's good. I'm not going to mess with fuel balances. Don't need that. And that's all fine. Comms. Let's do comms though. So if we go into comms 1 now, the comms on the F14, the comms on the F16 are a little bit odd. So there are preset channels. If I scroll down with the dobber to here, and if I go up and down, it cycles through the channels. So because the mission designer on this one has set lots of redundancy basically, so I need channel 4, which is 327, which is Nellis Air Force Base, but he's also set channel 3 and channel 2. So if I want channel 4 on here, all I have to do is in this long channel bit, if I type in 4 and enter, it now says UHF channel 4, and it doesn't tell me what channel 4 is on this page, it just tells me I've got channel 4 selected. And if I go into the comms menu, and I talk to air traffic, if you notice, all of these guys are greyed out, and Nellis is white, and that's telling me I've got 327 selected. So if I went into, exit that one, and I went back into the comm one, and I set, say, channel 16, okay, so that's a different channel. If I now try and talk to Nellis, ATC, see it's all greyed out. So that's telling me I've not got one of these channels selected. And if you've got an easy comms option, all of these will be white anyway, or even if they're grey, you can talk to them without any problems. So let's go channel 4, enter, and then if we come back out, come back in again, we can say request startup.
1-1, request startup. Code 1-1.
There we go.
Cleared for startup. Wind 080 at 5 meters per second.
Okay, we're back. The guys got airborne. It was just a bit of a sequencing thing rather than getting off on the wrong runway. So they're doing their thing. I'm heading towards steer point 1. I'm going to put the autopilot on. Let's confirm that. I've got it on automatic advance, so if you remember from day 1, if you dobber down to auto, you can select manual and auto. So when we get to waypoint 1, it will automatically go to waypoint 2. Let's have a look at the route. So pretty much the same as day 1, flying out, going to drop our harms, and then we're going to come back again. We have got an air threat, but we do have a fighter screen, but we will keep an eye on that so we don't get shot down like we did yesterday, which is embarrassing. Master arm is on. I'm going to put the jammers on, so I'm going to do that now. And that was this button. Countermeasure switch aft. And that's gone from S for standby to A to active, so if I get hit by a pulse, this should automatically fire something back. To take it out, let's get rid of that hold, and we'll start a long and gentle climb, and I can power back up. I slowed right down to try and let the formation regroup. We are 3 miles away from waypoint 1, we'll be there in 28 seconds. Looks good. Apologies if you can hear any background noise, we've just got some kittens and they're currently destroying the house behind me. So passing waypoint 1, we're now on waypoint 2. Where am I going today? It's my careful thinking about kittens. Right, carry on the same. I'm going to keep climbing and climbing and climbing because we're going to want to be at about 30-ish thousand feet. With the harms, there are 2 different ways of launching it, and one of the systems gives you a very long range, and we'll do that at the beginning. And then there's a kind of a second way of doing it, which gives you about a range of about 1 mile per 1,000 feet of height. So the higher we get, the longer this, the further the second missile will hit. So let's have a look at our stores anyway while we're waiting. So here's what we've got set up. We'll just put a hold on that. Climb and do its thing. So we've got our kind of the front, we've got our fuel tanks, we've got our 2 AGMs, and then we've got our our kind of air defense weapons. If we go into air to ground mode and get everything switched on, we can go and see our harms, the AG-88s. They need powered up separately, so we're going to power them on now, and then we don't really need to touch that page anymore. And we have 2 ways that we can access the harms. So there's this kind of option, which we'll talk about for weapon 2, because it's a nicer system, but it doesn't give you the range. And then we also have the HAD. So this is the harm active display. Now it looks like the normal display, very similar, but the main thing to note is we've got this white kind of heart-shaped bubble around us. That is the range of our harm missile at the moment. And as we climb, you'll see that 60 mile range, so that means that's 20, that's 40, that's 60, so we're just under 40 miles range at the moment with this missile. As we climb, that little heart shape is going to get wider and wider, and it will eventually get to about, well, it depends on how you go, but it can go to about 50 or 60 miles potentially. And what we're looking for on here is we're going to look for anything that's a radar thing. So we'll probably get a paint on our radar warning
Call 1,
first.
Nels departure. Clear tactical, contact Dark Star, UHF, channel 16.
Okay, channel 16, so that's great. So what we'll do is we'll type in channel 16.
Dark Star Colt 1 as fragged. Request Sally corridor via Dream.
Okay, that's just us saying we're going out via a specific route.
Colt 1, Dark Star, radar contact. Cleared Sally corridor via Dream. Shell tanker available, UHF channel 14. TACAN 83 Yankee. Arco tanker available, UHF channel 15. TACAN 94 Yankee. Picture available on request. Blowdown, South SA2 active. North SA2 active. South HQ7 active. North HQ7 active. East HQ7 active.
So like yesterday, that's how we find the tankers. That's telling us we've got AWACS. That's telling us that all the surface-to-air missile sites are active, which will be exciting. So back to on here. So what I'm looking for, these are all air threats. And the autopilot is now taking me towards waypoint 3. And we can zoom out. What we're going to look for is numbers. So we're expecting to find an SA2 site. An SA2 site here. So we're going to see a 2 at some point in here, a little tiny 2, which will be a different colour. And once we've found that, it's going to be around here, we can lock onto it and fire a missile. It's relatively easy. What we're going to do is we make this the soy, and then we have our little tiny white cursor that's here. I can move that around, and what I'll do is when I get over a target, I then use TMS up, very much like you would do a normal target lock on your targeting pod, and that will then box it, and then this box that we've got here is kind of a harm range. When that starts flashing, it means we're inside the harm range, and we'll also get like a countdown on here. But I'll show you that when we get to it. We've got a long way to go yet. What else can we do? Let's have a look. So this is the first way we can do it, and then there is a second way where we're going to use that first screen that I showed you with like a table of numbers. See the SA7s are here, the HQ7s, which are they're the low-level threats, and then the SA2s are the big ones with the larger circles. So we've got a while yet. Fighters are doing their thing, so that's good. Let's take off that and talk about time on task. So we at the moment, time on station 3, we've put in a time for station 7. So if we wanted to get to 7 and be there at 21:35, we need to have a ground speed of 332 knots. Well, the thing is, this is an indicated airspeed, and this is a ground speed. So how would we get 332 knots? So if we look down here, we've got this one here that says ground speed, TAS and CAS. If we click that, this now is my ground speed. So if I wanted to hit that and not do any orbiting, then I could fly at 331 knots according to this, and we'll get there on time without having to mess around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the power a little bit. We're already quite low on the power. And we'll see if we can get my ground speed down. I'm still climbing anyway. But if I hit 331 on here, then I will be great. Now, I don't think the F16, the F18 has something called ATC hold, which is like a speed hold. I don't think the F16 has a speed hold. If it does, please write in the comments. It would be awesome. But we're going to have to do this manually. The speed's coming down. It's now saying I need to be 330 knots ground speed to get there on time. It's all good.
Springfield 1 on station at Bulls 085 480 at 19,000.
So we're heading up towards waypoint 7. It's we're about 2 minutes to go, so I'm actually going to advance from waypoint 6 to waypoint 7. Gives me an ETA of about 4 minutes. We are going to speed up a little bit. I am quite high. We've lost a lot of speed in the climb. So let's put this on altitude hold. 27,000 feet is not bad. And now we're going to start looking for the enemy. So we're getting pinged by MiG-29s and I see 30s. Jet flare. Okay, so let's go on to semi-automatic. Because they are, we can see on here, nothing is within 60 miles of me. That is a problem. So we're getting picked up in the fight, basically. Now what we can do, amongst all this noise, is if you look on here, we've now got an S. So that is a type of search radar is picking us up in that sort of area. So we can start thinking about engaging the enemy SAM sites from all this far away. And if we looked before, if we went on to, we were on 60 miles, and that was 20, 40, 60, and we couldn't hit quite 40 miles. Well, we're now doing 45-ish, which is not bad. And there's an S just on the edge of the radar there. So the S is going to be the H7s. So we're now at waypoint 7. We're about to leave at exactly the right time. So let's head towards waypoint 8. Oh gosh, while I was talking, I got massively distracted. We've lost 3,000 feet and we're not even pointing in the right direction.
Forward 2, splash bandit at bullseye 114.
Let's get some speed going.
At 35,000.
We're going to have to put up with this noise while all the fighting is going on. In fact, I've gone to F10. Show you the fight.
At 22,000 knots.
So these guys are engaging. There's some missiles coming in. There's a lot of missiles going out. And these guys are engaging up here. And because these are firing radars at each other, we're getting picked up, which is why we're hearing that noise behind us. If you notice, it's not saying chaff flare because I'm on semi-automatic, so it doesn't think there's an immediate threat, so it's not firing the chaff and flares. If I was on automatic, it would be flat chaffing and flaring right now. So let's see who's going to win this fight. We may have to do some air-to-air. These are, you know, the fight is random. You don't always win. It looks like splash. So it's 4v3 up north. It's 2v2 down south. Let's see. We're going to lose this one, I think. He's dead. Splash. Splash. So 4v1. In fact, north is clear, and it's 2v2 in the south. So we'll see how that goes. Right, back to what we're doing here. We've got two S's here. These are the search radar sites. So what I could do is I'll show you how to lock it. So I go over it, and it's giving me the information. So, you know, it's 149 miles away. Let's get this one. 81 miles away, roughly. And what they do,
Showtime. You're dead.
if I then do target management switch up, it locks it. And there you go, so it's got a lock. And when that box is inside that little heart shape, then we can get it. Now, here we go. There's the 2 has just come up. So if I TMS down to unselect, I can then bring this one up. And I know it must be the right one because it's in the target area. So TMS up.
Counter.
Okay. So you notice we've got the ECN flash here. And it said counter. My jammers are now firing pulses to stop that SAM picking me up. And what I'm waiting for is that circle to be inside, sorry, that 2 to inside that circle, and then I can fire my missile. And what I've got down here is a little countdown. So that little carrot there is going to go down and down, and when it gets to this line, it means I'm on a good firing range. So let's point towards the target.
Counter.
Okay, we're jamming with the ECM. What I don't want to do is fly straight at it, because the way that this targeting pod works, or this detecting pod, is it kind of triangulates information all the time, and if you're flying straight at it, you take one of the angles away, and it means it doesn't work quite so well. I'm just going to put a little bit of power on, because the faster I go, the further my missile will reach. Come down to 60. And we'll just get that to inside that box. So we've got a HQ, so that's another type of radar source, so we can take that out. I've only got 2 HARM missiles. I would normally take 4 if this was an actual seed mission. I would and you know, with so many radars on that briefing, I would take a lot. But it looks like we're getting close to it, and what I'm looking for is that box that there is now flashing, and the little carrot has hit the little line. Oh, not quite, because of the way I'm pointing my nose. So I can fire the missile now. I don't even need to point at it, but what I'm going to try and do is give my missile as much chance as I can. So I'm going to fire. Actually, it's just on the edge of that box. I want to make sure the missile makes it there. We know that missile's got a range of 24 miles, and we are 40 something, 45 miles, so there's plenty of time. Just trying to get it inside the box, but not fly straight at it. And you see, because I turned and lost speed, the it went out of range almost because I lost that one. Let's get rid of this altitude hole that's causing the plane some problems. I'm also using a lot of fuel per minute at the moment here as well, so I need to cut that back down. So something sensible. So we've got a flashing box. That's all good. It's inside that white heart. And the target is over off that way, so that's not too much of an angle away. Magnum is what you have to say when you fire these missiles. And off it goes. Up into the atmosphere. So at this point, that missile is going to do its own thing. I can turn away. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and keep inside the SA-2's radar range so that it paints me. And the more it's scanning, the more likely it is it's going to die. And if you notice, if I'm letting go my joystick now and I'm really rolling to the left here, and I'm planning to wait a little while before I fire the second missile, so I will trim the aircraft straight if I can. There we go. Right, hands off, which is cool. So that's all off and doing its thing. We can push F6. Oh, now it's got a long way to go. While it's doing its thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up to try and attack this SA2 at the back here. So we're going to do this the different way. So I'm going to take off the HAD, and I'm going to go into weapon, and now I've got a list. This is let's make this sortie. This is a list of the radar it's looking for. Well, there's no 2 on here, so what I go is I click on table 2. There's still no 2, and we go on here, and there's lots. There's the SA2 there. So let me just put the autopilot on. So altitude hold is good. Autopilot on is good. I don't want waypoint 8. Let's go for waypoint 10. So at the moment it's looking for an SA3. Search radars, SA6, SA2, SA13, and to do that pulse it's taking about 49 seconds to look all the way from the left and all the way to the right, and that's not really acceptable. I need it to find that SA2 much quicker. So if I go onto search, I can tell it only look for an SA2. And we come back again. So now it's gone from like 50 seconds to 13 seconds per pulse, and it's scanning all the way to the left and all the way to the right. And what I can do as well is I can say look only in the center, because when I point at this SA2, which is kind of the plan, it's going to appear in front, and now it's scanning every 3, and here we go, every 3 seconds, and it's picked up that SA2. So I think that's actually the original SA2, and there's there should be a second one a little bit further back. So we're here to see how that goes. But very much like we did with the HAD screen, I've got my cursor, I move over it, I TMS up, and now it's got it locked. And as before, we've got the flashing box to say it's in range. However, this system is not like the HAD. It doesn't really have range information, so it just flashes anyway. You have to work out yourself if you think that is in range. So I'm at 28,000 feet. There we go, we've killed the SA2. I'm at 28,000 feet, so I've got a range of about 28 nautical miles. We know that this thing has a range of about 24 miles.
All players, Dark Star, North SA2 destroyed.
So I'm going to keep pressing on through this circle, and I'm going to try and attack this SA2. So what I want to be is I really want to be about here, attacking this SA2 when I fire. So I'm picking up, well, I'm still picking up an SA2. We could just engage it anyway. Let me just break that lock. See if there's anything out there. Let's go back to, we can look, that's looking left, looking right, and then looking wide. 13 seconds is not too bad. So I'm going to try, what I want to try and do is pick up this SA2. There we go. So that's the second SA2. So we'll pick on him. Take off auto steer. And I'm going to turn for it. And because there is no ranging information, I am just going to have to work it out myself. The box is flexing because it thinks it can reach it, but I'm not convinced. At 28,000 feet, I'm not convinced that that will get there. We can fire and see.
Dodge 1, pushing from waypoint 7 at 14,000.
And we can see the SA2 here on the threat warning. So that we've definitely got a threat of some sort right in front of us. And if you look down here, we're picking up one of the little HQ7s. We don't really care about that one because we're above 22,000 feet. And we're looking on this range now. Zoom in a little bit. So this is the yellow line around this SA2. We are just inside, so that is 10, 20, 30. So the counter's going as well. So something has picked us up, which probably means if it can pick us up and we're countering, we can fire back. So I'm going to fire.
Counter.
Now if you notice the last missile, we fired it and it went like up into space. This one is more of a direct track, so it's going to be not as, this is where you lose the range doing it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb away, or turn away rather. There's nothing else for me to do with that missile, it does its own thing now. So we can even actually just go into air-to-air mode. Bring up the HSD. and just make sure there's nothing going to get us after yesterday's getting shot down. And we may as well go to waypoint 11, which is this one here. Turn away and start heading for home. We'll think about fuel, that kind of thing. Why is that not on my HMD? Oh, let's head that way. Let's keep an eye on the air-to-air threat. There's not really a threat. We can autopilot that, autopilot that. And we'll turn away. Let's see if we can see our missile. It's a very low angle this time. And shack. One SAM site neutralized. What else we got? This is another AGM. Going off
All
into
players,
space.
Dark Star, South SA2 destroyed.
Now, was that my missile I was watching, or was that somebody else's? Could possibly have been the Colt 2's guys. It would be nice if it said who owned the missile when you go through the missile view. But my missile was kind of straight and then going down. That was on a climb. So probably not my one. Okay, let's go to waypoint 11. Sorry, waypoint 12. There's no air threat. Not very much to do. Fuel. We have emptied our tanks, so what we can do is we can go to jettison. Great. We got, oh, so that was me. It came up on my screen, so I did kill it. So we got both SAM sites. Stores management. Let's jettison. So we've got the holders here, and we've got the fuel tanks. If we jettison all of them by hitting the fire button, we'll get rid of those little brackets as well. That just makes us a little bit more fuel efficient. But we don't need that page anymore. Yeah, we can just leave that. And what I'll do is I'll speed up time and we'll head home. So we're on finals, well, missile finals. Trying to slow this aircraft down.
All players, Dark Star, all strikers have egressed.
Great, that's the strike package finished. So the truck stop. Keeping an eye on the speed because I don't want to go too slow. Make sure there's air brakes. And as before, what I'll do is once I've landed on the runway, I'll just taxi off and we'll have a quick look at the scores rather than taxi all the way back and shut down and do the full shutdown sequence. But you are more than welcome to do that, obviously, in your own game. We want to be heading about 160 miles an hour as we come onto the runway.
Cleared for visual. Contact tower.
Okay, I did change to channel 4 when we approached.
Colt 1-1. Request landing. Colt 1-1. Cleared to land. Runway 21. Wind 080 at 5 meters per second.
Yeah, 2-1 left or 2-1 right. We'll go for the left one anyway. Enjoy the views, come on in. Oh wow, thanks guys, that's professional. Does mean there's probably more out there. Let's love the AI. clipped by wingman on the way past. Nose wheel steering on. Don't want to try and taxi off at this point because the nose will crash. Wow. Oh, he can drive on the dirt, it would seem, so that's fine. Right, we're down anyway. What I'll do is I will pull off onto the side here. I'll either go to the end of taxi.
Code 1-1. Taxi to parking area.
Yeah. Pop it here in the threshold. Wipe on the brake. This is a mission where some missions you do need to taxi back, and then it gives you extra points for being in like a specific area, but it makes a difference with this one. What I can do though is if I push this key, score window, we can see how we did. So it's a very busy, there's a lot, like this is everything that's happened. If I go on to Colt 1-1, this is going to tell me everything that I did. So we're supposed to get Airborne at 13:15, we got Airborne at 13:14 and 53 seconds, which is much better than yesterday's, pretty much back on time. And 21:35 is when we're supposed to leave the area, and then shortly afterwards we were supposed to kill the SAM sites. And if you see here, we fired our AGM. So this says what it was. It was our AGMs were fired and they got a kill, so we killed that one, that fan song there, and we also got a kill here. So 2 fan songs. And if you wanted to double check that, if you click on event and then go on to kill, that tells you what I got. So 2 harms for 2 SAM sites, which is not a bad sortie. And we still scored 20 points. Doesn't really matter about that score as I mentioned before. The main thing is the result score. So it's out of 100, we scored 100%. A perfect mission. Well done us. Pat, pat, pat. And we didn't die, which is also a bonus. Well, see you again for the next sortie, mission 3. Until then, if you have any questions, please write down below. I will always try and answer as soon as I can. Stay safe, everybody, and happy hunting.